Good morning. I'm going to talk to you today about some important market lessons which I've got over many decades. So, first, now this is sometimes a myth and sometimes very real. Stock picking is hard work, especially at the beginning. Let me tell you about Hero Honda. It comes out as a company in North. We have no clue whether they'll be true with their books of accounts. We had no clue. I'm not talking of Hero now or Hero Honda or Honda of 2018 or 2020 or 2022. I am talking of 1992, 93. You had no clue who were Munjals. You had heard of them somewhere connected to the cycle industry, but you had no clue how they would behave. So you have to be a little tentative with such promoters because there are so many such promoters. I mean, JP was one such promoter, right, from Delhi. He was a contractor. The ultimate combination that these guys will not share the money with you. Now, given all these circumstances, how much could you have trusted the Munjals? Very little. So I picked up some shares, and then they kept reinforcing, showing that they were good businessmen, serious businessmen, and maybe because of the presence of a partner, good accounting standards, everything was fine, and they really made money for you. But picking up the stock is not just about fundamentals. Even if you start with good fundamentals, you have to keep monitoring and see whether they are taking excessive remuneration, whether they're charging a royalty fee for using the family name and such stuff. You've no clue what all they are capable of doing. And I don't blame the promoters that much, because given the fact that when we borrow we need to give guarantees etc. to the government organizations, it's not so simple that you just have one stream of income and you do it honestly. Because even if you fail as a genuine businessman, the institutions will come and acquire you, your house and your stream of incomes, everything. There is nothing called a part bankruptcy in that business, right? In India, that's no concept. You can't do part insolvency. So people are very scared, and I don't blame them. Therefore, picking up stocks becomes very difficult. On the other hand, you could just get lucky that you bought something and it did well. For example, in the 1977 IPO, which was forced by George Fernandez, anybody who applied for an MNC diluting in India benefited, because you didn't have to do too much to know whether they'll be honest and they'll have good accounting standards. All of them, whether you take Siemens, HUL, Colgate, P&G, Nestle, Cummins, Kodak, Cadbury, none of them had any shady accounting practices. So they set the standards in the 70s, 80s, and even in the 90s. Accounting standards were really set by them, and they wouldn't do anything hanky panky, right? So picking a stock is easy sometimes and it is tough sometimes. It involves hard work, it involves luck, and it involves monitoring over at least over the next 4-5 years. You have to see what they are doing and then slowly put your foot into it, right? So you buy 500 shares, then you buy 500 shares, then you buy 500 shares, and you reach about 25,000, 30,000 shares. Then you're more confident. Then you pick up your next lot of 25,000 shares. So first 5,000 shares maybe in 10 lots of 500, and then you could start picking up in lots of 5,000, because only when you have a substantial number will the whole journey be nice and fun to have, right? So first is the stock picking. It requires some skill, some reading, some luck, combination of everything. The another belief is market gives rational return. That's not true. Market can give irrational return for extremely long periods of time for a share which has got a high PE. I remember doing some work in Gillette or Nestle, and I felt even in 1994 they were overpriced. And if you take the returns from 1994 till today, which is about 26 years, you find that you've got a good CAGR also. So it always had a high PE. So it had a high PE then and it has a high PE today. So just rejecting on the basis of PE or accepting on the basis of PE, accepting on the basis of PE is even worse. You pick up a stock and just say, oh, PE is low, so it's a good investment. That's wrong. It's myth. mystical to think that market will give rational returns over longer periods of time. Market does give rational returns over long periods of time, but market also gives irrational return over long periods of time. For example, if you own a flat in Marine Drive or any of those places, you will not get a great rent vis-a-vis the market value of the flat, but the appreciation is still there in those places simply because there is just demand and there is not enough supply. Whereas you go to other suburbs of any big city and you will find that there is absolutely no rental, nor is there any great appreciation over the last 10-15 years, right? So market can be irrational for a pretty long period of time. In fact, it can be irrational far longer than you can be solvent. So imagine going short on something like HDFC Limited, thinking, oh, it's just a mortgage company. It's not true. It's an extremely complicated fund, because look at the number of companies they have promoted, right? So one, little lack of understanding, and second, market can be irrational. So a Nestle or a HUL can have a PE of 70 permanently, or Gillette can have a PE of 70 permanently. Sometimes it drops down to 65 and then it goes back to 75. How do you justify these things? Why? How do you justify that Indian Oil will have a PE of 5 or 4 and HUL will have a PE of 72? It's difficult to understand. I'm not saying the market is irrational, but the market can do things which you find difficult to understand. In fact, people who have lost money recently, which means they've been doing SIP for 8, 9 years, 10 years, and now they are just about their cost because of the fall in the value, are questioning value investing. This is exactly what is value investing. Don't question value investing. Value investing means this: the market will return to its value once in a while, and that time, if you do your appraisal, you will look disastrous. That's not a time to be doing appraisal. When the markets have fallen, you have to ensure only one thing: survival. Either you put more money into it, or at least ensure that you don't have to remove money during such difficult times. Another important thing which I keep telling this to people, especially older people, 65, 70, when there is no need to take risk, don't take risk. I have found my people known to me, family, friends, who have put money into funds, or rather into bonds of companies which are now quoting at 30% yield. Now, when something is quoting at 30% yield, you think, oh my God, this is a great deal. Or you think, oh my God, am I not going to get back the money? Depending on whether you are aggressive or you are conservative, you draw your own conclusion. Now, if I am aggressive, I may go and pick this up and say, wow, here I can make 30%. Otherwise, I will look at this and say, to make 30%, let me take the risk in equity, because I know I am taking the risk. Here the upside is limited to 30%. Let me put money in, say, Tata Power, where the upside may be 100%. I may get, today I'm buying it at 29, 30 rupees, I may get 60 rupees in a year or two, which means there is no limit on the upside. Is there a law which says beyond 39 Tata Power can't go up? No, it can even go up to 200. But at least I know when I'm taking risk, I'm getting higher reward. So don't take risk in a place where it is not worth taking the risk. Don't take risk when you don't need to take risk. People with a 2 crore, 3 crore portfolio are just saying, can I put 5 lakhs into it? Can I put 2 lakhs into it? It makes no sense. You don't understand the risk, stay away, right? So poor quality debt is not a place for you to take risk unless you have the managerial capacity to turn that company around. You are not a Buffett, right? You are not a Mukesh Ambani. If you are not a businessman, this is not the risk which you should be taking. You might as well, if you want to take risk of 30% loss of capital or 70% loss of capital, you might as well take that risk in equity. Why take it in debt? The market is called the great humiliator. Exactly when we think that we understand what the market is doing, the market does something which is pretty humiliating. Exactly when people say, oh, there is a COVID-19 happening, markets will go down, you find that fertilizer, pharma, sugar, these stocks going up. And then when you check out with the mandis, you find that COVID is not too much of an impact in rural India. It's largely an urban and semi-urban phenomenon. So life is pretty normal in many of the villages. There are districts with 4.5, 5 lakh people where not even one person has been impacted. They read about COVID in the papers and they watch it on TV. It is not impacting them. So some shares which are rural India based could be doing well, and that you could haunt you saying, "Arey, how is this company doing well when everything is down with COVID?" Not everything is down with COVID. Rural India is not still as badly affected, if at all, like urban India is. Obviously, Dharavi is more impacted because of the proximity with which people live, but in a small district in, say, Arunachal Pradesh or even Goa, which has not seen any travel, there's nobody impacted. So life is normal in many such places. I will keep doing such videos. Keep pressing the bell icon. Please subscribe so that you can watch this as soon as I post it. Thank you.